From planes getting transformed into houses to planes getting attacked by birds, here are 18 strangest photos of planes. But first, thanks Daniel for leaving us this comment about what you learned from our video on ancient Egyptian mythology. Let us know what you learned from this presentation and maybe we'll feature you in an upcoming video. Number 18. Playground plane. Humans have constructed hundreds of thousands of planes throughout time, and not all of the time will they serve a role in flying through the sky. Here we see a photo of a plane that's actually been transformed into a playground for kids. This one here is actually located at an airbase in Ukraine, and instead of scrapping the metal or sending it to a junkyard like they usually do, they decided to give back to the community by turning it into something fun. Number 17. Airplane classroom. If you think about it, planes pretty much have everything you need for a makeshift classroom. This photo here was taken in the country of Georgia, showing a Yakovlev Yak-42 being used in just that manner. The school funding was pretty low at this time, and the city council was looking for a way to cheaply construct a classroom. What started out being a great way to save some money turned out to be a pretty cool idea, and it's a great way to recycle planes. Number 16. Airbus bus. After taking one look at this bus, you probably would have no idea that it actually used to be a plane. That's right, this Australian automobile in Queensland was once actually a McDonnell Douglas DC-3, or part of it at least. This just used to be the nose, but with a little extra creative work and some properly placed tires, it can cruise down the streets without going airborne. Number 15. Costa Verde. Many of us who don't enjoy flying couldn't possibly imagine living inside an airplane and begin to feel too claustrophobic being inside such a cramped space for such a long period of time. But the truth is, once you remove all the seats, decorate them, and get rid of all the bad food, living inside one could actually be pretty cool. This photo here shows a Boeing 727 from the 1960s that's complete with 3 bedrooms, a private bathroom, a kitchen, a dining room, and pretty much everything a house needs. It's been dubbed the Costa Rican Treehouse, and it's become a hidden tourist attraction now in this country. It's great seeing planes being reused into useful and creative ways after their flying days are behind them. Number 14. Douglas Cafe. What appears to be a Douglas DC-3 fighter plane was transformed into a restaurant in New Zealand that we see in this photo. It was used as a part of the Royal Air Force back between 1945 and 1981. After sitting around for the past 5 years, they finally decided to furnish the retired airplane in 1986 into this strange restaurant. It's been a hit for the past few decades and was recently given a new blue and white paint job to make it look more authentic. Here you see the paint job, which first displayed cookies on the outside, and now the sleek blue and white look that visitors flock to each and every day. Number 13. Attack of the Birds. There isn't a ton of details about this photo, but it appears to have been taken in the mid-2000s. The birds are completely flocking to this plane, literally. The British Airways pilot must be accustomed to having to deal with birds, but this many all-in-one location is quite rare. Pilots often refer to colliding with birds as a bird hit or bird bash, and this is a significant flying hazard. Birds can either get sucked into the engine or just collide with the windshield. It's estimated that this causes $400 million worth of damage to aircraft each year. But you'd really be surprised how many times this has led to fatal plane crashes, and they've even caused notable damage on spacecraft as well. Number 12. Get out of the way. Birds of the same feather flock together, but it's unclear why they're flocking near this plane. Don't they see the plane coming through? This one was taken of an Airbus 330 from China Eastern Airlines, flying into London. Learning to be a pilot has to be difficult enough, and it's probably got to be pretty difficult to teach how to swerve out of the way to avoid birds. Bird control at airports around the world try to employ people equipped with various tools to keep the birds off the runway and away from the airport as best as possible. Things such as visual repellents like dogs, lasers, and even birds of prey have all been used. But also chemical, auditory repellents, and even lethal repellents, unfortunately for the birds. No wonder they're so angry. Number 11. Maho Beach, St. Martin. If you're afraid of airplanes or want to sunbathe without the noises of loud airplanes, this might not be the place for you. However, it is one of the most unique settings due to the fact that airplanes are flying about 50 feet over your head. Its location is literally a stone's throw away from Princess Juliana's International Airport like you see from this photo. While it does seem sort of cool, there was one woman injured by a jet blast, and there have even been warnings posted to beachgoers here. The jet blast also sends whirlwinds of sand across the beach. Not the best place for a honeymoon, but unique nonetheless. Number 10. Abandoned plane for sale. Some photos of abandoned planes were placed online by someone who was apparently trying to sell them. They claim that they're quite cheap and you can really do anything you want with them. It's believed that this photo was captured in Ethiopia and used by Kenya Airways until it was abandoned in 1989 after landing gear malfunction. If you could buy an abandoned airplane, what would you choose to do with it or make out of it? Number 9. Strange water plane. This rare image shows the strange design of an experimental Russian plane taking off from the water. This got the nickname of the Caspian Sea Monster when word and photos got out about it. It's rumored to weigh about 540 tons and was one of the largest max ton takeoffs in history. It was designed like this to zoom across the ocean without being detected by radar. It was also possible that they were designed to carry large missiles which could have pulled up close to the shorelines and be fired off. Can you imagine a large fleet of these heading across the Atlantic with the goal of complete ambush? However, these were mainly experimented with across the flat seas such as the Caspian and Black Seas that don't experience too many waves. It would be quite interesting to try to see it make it all the way across the Atlantic. Number 8. Piggyback. Possibly the largest airplane ever constructed was the Antonov AN-225 Miria, which took flight in 1988. You can certainly tell the photographer probably went through quite a lot to get this photo. The aircraft was specifically designed to transport spacecraft such as the one we see here known as the Buran. How much do you think this behemoth weighed, you might ask? 628,000 pounds without the spacecraft. And it can reach speeds of 528 miles per hour. In some cases, the US government even used it to transport military supplies to the Middle East. You can probably imagine this thing eats up quite a bit of gasoline. Number 7. The final flight. This epic photo was taken of the last flight of the Concorde, which was a massive supersonic passenger flight. October 24, 2003, this turbojet traveled at twice the speed of sound, accompanied by fighter jets from JFK Airport in New York to London Heathrow Airport. Tickets on this historical event even reached prices of $9,000, but others claim that tickets at the last minute cost $60,000. The Concorde was a symbol of speed and luxury, but the rising operational costs of this superplane began to get out of control. Many were also very concerned with its safety. For historical preservation, the nose was auctioned off at $550,000. Number 6. IL-18 Surprise. This photo almost makes it look like a plane has crashed into this apartment building and is now sticking out to the other side. It's still a mystery where exactly this photo was taken, but it's supposed to be somewhere in Russia that some sites are claiming to be a bar. Others also claim that it's from an old mining town in the far east of Russia. Would you be willing to add one extra room to your home in this fashion? Number 5. Douglas XB-42 Mixmaster. This aircraft almost sounds like it should be working at a nightclub and not flying through the skies. This was an experimental aircraft with a propeller on the rear instead of it being in front of the cockpit. This strange approach appeared to be successful at first and it managed to fly around Palm Springs, California for a while. But after further testing, the design was deemed to be too unstable and the engine would often overheat. The prototype actually crashed and was repaired, but only to sit inside a museum in Dayton, Ohio. Number 4. Emergency landing. A Swiss airline was making a fairly routine intercontinental flight from Switzerland to Los Angeles, and passengers must have gotten quite the surprise when it actually landed in the Nunavut territory in Canada instead. They were like, hey, California is way more sunny in the photos. Temperature here at the capital of the Nunavut territory, with about 7,000 people, was as low as negative 23 degrees Celsius this day, and it's quite rare to see such a large passenger craft land here. The passengers had about 11 hours in the remote Canadian territory until a technical problem with one of the engines was fixed. The flight eventually made it to LA, but the Swiss Airlines passengers got one heck of a unique layover. Number 3. Homemade replica aircraft. Many people with too much money and time on their hands will attempt in creating a replica aircraft that looks similar to World War II aircraft when they try to fly it. However, not everyone is a mechanical engineer and not all these aircraft are going to work. This was an example of a homemade Mustang replica that crashed on an expressway that needed emergency landing. Luckily, the pilot was able to walk off okay, and it wasn't at a high altitude during the downfall. It might seem like a fun hobby to build aircraft, but you just gotta be ready if it doesn't work out. The plane was abandoned by the pilot to escape the authorities. Number 2. Plane dumping. Normally dumping your plane into the water would be illegal, but in this strange case, it was actually encouraged. Here we see the former private plane of Bulgarian dictator Todor Zhivkov, which actually was sent to the bottom of the Black Sea off the Varna coast in 2011. Whether it was done symbolically to show an end of communism here is up for debate, but many actually claim it was for creating a coral reef nearby. It took a pretty massive boat to complete this task, and you have to imagine it'll be a pretty cool scuba diving location in the years to come. And number 1. Beluga Airbus. As time goes by, planes keep getting stranger and stranger, and then eventually, they look like the Beluga Airbus, which has a striking resemblance to Brain from Peaky in the Brain. The weird design is supposed to allow for more cargo space and it easier to make it load supplies onto. But the idea of a flying whale isn't too appealing to some, and passengers will probably hold off on this one for a little while longer.